Welcome back to my channel Knowledge Chronicle.
Have you ever wondered what really happens when you take a breath? It seems so simple: inhale, exhale. But beneath this basic action lies one of the most complex and fascinating processes in the human body: breathing and gas exchange. From tiny insects to massive mammals, every living creature has its own way of getting oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. Today we'll break it all down in a way that's both informative and mind-blowing. Nature has designed breathing systems based on habitat and biological structure. Let's start with the simplest ones. Tiny creatures like sponges, jellyfish, and flatworms don't have lungs or gills. Instead, oxygen passes directly through their body surfaces by diffusion, a process where gases move from areas of high concentration to low concentration. Imagine placing a drop of ink in water. It naturally spreads out without any help. That's how gases spread in these organisms. Ever noticed how earthworms seem slimy? That's because they breathe through their moist skin. The mucus helps oxygen dissolve and enter the bloodstream directly. Frogs, on the other hand, have a dual advantage. They breathe through their skin underwater and switch to lungs when on land. Unlike humans, insects don't have lungs. Instead, they rely on a network of tiny tubes called trachea that transport oxygen directly to their tissues. Think of a metro train network. Stations, tracheal openings, let passengers' oxygen travel through tunnels, tubes, directly to their destinations. Fish and many marine animals have gills, specialized organs that extract oxygen from water. As water flows over the gills, oxygen is absorbed into the blood, and carbon dioxide is expelled. It's like running water through a filter. Gills extract the useful oxygen and throw out the waste. Reptiles, birds, and mammals rely on lungs for breathing. Birds even have an advanced air sac system, allowing continuous airflow, meaning they get oxygen both when inhaling and exhaling, making them super efficient flyers. Now let's take a look at the marvel inside our own bodies, the human respiratory system. We start breathing through our nostrils, which lead to the nasal chamber. Here, tiny hair-like structures called cilia filter dust and microbes, while mucus adds moisture. Ever felt your nose sting on a cold day? That's your nasal cavity working to warm and humidify the air before it reaches your lungs. Pharynx. This is the common passage for both food and air. But don't worry, you won't choke because the epiglottis, a flap-like structure, closes when you swallow. Larynx, voice box. This cartilaginous structure allows us to speak, thanks to vocal cords. Trachea, windpipe. A sturdy tube with C-shaped cartilage rings ensures the airway stays open, leading down to bronchi and bronchioles. The trachea divides into two bronchi, one for each lung, which further branch into smaller bronchioles. These tiny air sacs are where the magic happens. Oxygen from inhaled air diffuses into blood capillaries, while carbon dioxide moves out for exhalation. Imagine millions of tiny balloons inflating and deflating with each breath. That's your alveoli at work. The lungs are soft and delicate, but they are protected by a double-layered membrane called the pleura, which reduces friction. They sit inside the thoracic cavity, a sealed chamber made up of ribs, sternum, and the dome-shaped diaphragm, our main breathing muscle. Breathing isn't just about sucking in air, it's a well-coordinated mechanical process. Inhalation or taking in air involves the diaphragm contracting and moving downward. The rib cage expands outward. The lungs expand, creating a vacuum that pulls air in. Exhalation, or releasing air, happens when the diaphragm relaxes and moves upward. The rib cage contracts inward. The lungs shrink, pushing air out. Think of a syringe. When you pull the plunger, air rushes in. When you push it, air is forced out, just like breathing. Once oxygen reaches the alveoli, it's time for some real action. Oxygen moves from the alveoli into capillaries, binding to hemoglobin and red blood cells. The oxygen-rich blood is then pumped by the heart to all body tissues. Once oxygen reaches the cells, it's used in a process called cellular respiration, where glucose is broken down to release energy, or ATP. Waste carbon dioxide is produced and needs to be removed. Carbon dioxide travels back through the blood, reaches the lungs, and diffuses into alveoli to be exhaled. Think of a delivery system. Oxygen is like a package delivered to cells, and carbon dioxide is the waste picked up for disposal. Breathing isn't just about staying alive, it impacts everything from brain function to metabolism. A lack of oxygen for just a few minutes can cause brain damage, did you know? Yawning helps increase oxygen intake when you're tired. Hiccups happen when the diaphragm contracts suddenly. Holding your breath too long can lead to carbon dioxide buildup, triggering an urgent need to breathe. Breathing may seem automatic, but it's an intricate dance of muscles, air pressure, and gas exchange that keeps us alive. So next time you take a deep breath, remember you're witnessing a miracle of biology. Want more amazing health and science content? Your one like, share, and subscribe will help us create more valuable content. See you in the next video.